Welcome to my Ask Barbie session. This is where I answer a question posed by one of you. Our Ask Barbie question for today is, can you take HRT if you've had breast cancer? The short answer to this question is yes, you can take HRT if you've had breast cancer. The real question is, can you take HRT presently if you had breast cancer previously? And the key to the answer is all about the tenses of the words presently and previously. But it's very difficult to get that direct, short answer out of most medical professionals. You see, despite the fact that breast cancer is a disease that terrorizes women, it is one of the diseases for which we have the best screening tests for suspecting it, the best diagnostic tests for confirming it, the best treatments for curing it, and the best chances of surviving it. So despite all the terrorism over breast cancer, it is highly likely that you will survive your breast cancer and go on to live a very long life afterward as a menopausal woman. This means that you will still endure the symptoms of estrogen deficiency that greatly decrease your quality of life. And it means that you will still be at high risk for the 3 diseases of estrogen deficiency, which are heart attack, osteoporosis, and Alzheimer's disease. HRT is not even on the list of risk factors for breast cancer at all. Yet most people inaccurately state that HRT causes breast cancer. That simply is not true. So despite all the terrorism over breast cancer, you really have to question which you fear most. A recurrence of the breast cancer or the occurrence of heart attack, osteoporosis, and Alzheimer's. And your risk of having breast cancer again are very low compared to your risk of having a heart attack, osteoporosis, and Alzheimer's disease. Which weighs the most on your risk scale? Breast cancer or heart attack, osteoporosis, and Alzheimer's disease? Fear versus fact. You know, the whole purpose of treating and beating breast cancer is to have a normal life. And in order to have a normal life, you have to alleviate your symptoms of estrogen deficiency and prevent the diseases of estrogen deficiency. But medical professionals will not be weighing your future risk of breast cancer against your future risk of heart attack, osteoporosis, and Alzheimer's disease. Only you will do that. Medical professionals will be weighing their future risk of legal liability against your future risk of breast cancer. Breast cancer is not a death sentence unless you make it one. I think the biggest problem with this question is the generalization of the term breast cancer. Breast cancer is not one disease. It is several diseases. The differences between various breast cancers are huge, and those differences are critical in determining whether or not you should consider taking HRT after you have had breast cancer. So the first thing you need to do is know exactly what kind of breast cancer you had. And then you have to know the likelihood of HRT having any effect on it at all. I say this because while most women think that HRT automatically has some adverse effect on your breast cancer risk, that is a misconception. HRT is not a risk factor for breast cancer. There are studies on this, but they aren't as popular as the fear over it. Fear sells. Well, in instances like this, where fact and fear conflict, It always boils down to balancing your benefits against your risks and honoring your comfort zone. One of my favorite quotes is, "Everything you really want is just outside your comfort zone." And this is true of deciding whether or not to take HRT after having had breast cancer. And when it comes to breast cancer, it isn't only your comfort zone that dictates your options. You also have to take into account the comfort zones of your doctor, your institution, your health care payer, and the guidelines. Well, fear shrinks comfort zones. They go from this to this to this, and maybe even to a comfort zone as small as this. I had to find it here on my table of props. And shrinking comfort zones are something that create barriers that are much like those of a prison. Thus, my t-shirt. Now, from a logical perspective, if you have had breast cancer in the past, you've already treated it and cured it, then it doesn't pose a risk for you. But fear isn't logical. Fear induces you to act as though you still have the cancer. It imprisons you for life. If you had breast cancer in the past, you do not still have it now. If you do not still have it now, the fact that you had it in the past does not change your options for considering HRT now. But then, fear gets in the way. Can you think of any other cancer for which having had the cancer in the past governs your options for the rest of your life? If you've had thyroid cancer, can you take thyroid hormone replacement? Of course you can. And most people who have had thyroid cancer do take thyroid hormone replacement. If you've had pancreatic cancer, can you take insulin replacement? Of course you can. And most people who have had pancreatic cancer do take insulin replacement. So this idea that having breast cancer previously restricts you from taking hormone replacement therapy for menopause presently is really pretty loony. But that's the power of fear. Breast cancer is the only entity in medicine for which women are imprisoned and serve life sentences for the rest of their lives, even after curing their breast cancer. You do not have to serve a life sentence just because you had breast cancer in the past. If your breast cancer was in the past, you're free. You can move forward exercising all of your options. Fear is a prison, but breast cancer is not. You do not have to wear a fuchsia letter B on your chest for the rest of your life just because you had breast cancer in the past. The keys to doing what's right for you are as follows. Know exactly what kind of breast cancer you had personally. Know whether or not your particular breast cancer had anything at all to do with a response to female sex hormones. Acknowledge your high risk for the symptoms of estrogen deficiency. Acknowledge your high risk for the diseases of estrogen deficiency. Decide which weighs more, breast cancer or heart attack, osteoporosis, and Alzheimer's. Designate your goals. Do you want to merely alleviate symptoms of estrogen deficiency, or do you want to prevent the diseases of estrogen deficiency? Designate your comfort zone. Find a practitioner who will honor your comfort zone. Volunteer to pay for your HRT yourself. Offer to sign a consent form, disclaimer, or waiver of a liability so that you can get your HRT. You see, this is a know thyself matter. Do not be wishy-washy. Do not expect someone else to tell you if it's safe for you to take HRT for menopause or not. Nobody knows. There are always trade-offs. No matter what you do, you will be accepting trade-offs. And no matter what you do, you will be accepting some benefits and some risks. Begin with the end in mind. Get this education, decide what you want, and then go get it. There are practitioners who will honor your wishes and comfort zone. Finding one may be a difficult task, but it's not impossible. Just don't expect them to make your decisions for you. When it comes to breast cancer, everyone in the medical profession is going to do what's in their legal best interest rather than what's in your medical best interest. I have both degrees. I'm telling you this firsthand. Fear goes both ways. You're afraid of breast cancer, and medical professionals are afraid of lawsuits. So this is an area where you have to advocate for yourself. And in order to advocate for yourself, you have to first know your comfort zone. This question about HRT and breast cancer is the most distorted matter in medicine. It has gotten so extrapolated that women question their ability to take HRT when a relative has had breast cancer. That's insane. It implies that because someone else had breast cancer, you can't take hormone replacement. It's crazy. Fear is the most powerful emotion on earth, but it defies all logic. Do not make your decisions based on fear. Make your decisions based on fact. And this is a decision that only you can make for yourself. So there you have it. You can take HRT if you've had breast cancer.